So this assignment is called the weight shift, and it's where the character is shifting the weight from one foot over to the other. So I started by shooting a live action video here of myself. I think when using live action reference, it's important that you don't fall into the trap of starting to just copying what you see on the screen one to one. But instead you should try and just pick out details you like and adjust the performance that you have in your reference video so it fits the narrative in your project and the character that you're going to be animating. I've added my rig here now on top of the live action reference. And as you can see, the dimensions of the rig is different from me, so I have to obviously do some adjustments. So if I am to draw a line, I will have had a line of action that does this kind of thing here, and I will have my hips doing this here. In my last frame, I will have had my line of action has changed and my hips have changed. So I'm playing with this change of shape here where I bend things one way and I bend it the other way. Here I have my weight on my screen left foot. That means that my screen left hip is higher than it is on the right side, and then I juxtapose my upper body by bending it or leaning with it to the other side. And likewise here, that is the opposite that is kind of happening. If I add my rig, you can see the same thing is mirrored here in what I do. You can obviously exaggerate this or you can pull it back, but it has to be there. So now that we have our start and end pose, we can go ahead and create the breakdowns here. So let's start with the anticipation. I will do that here. So I've selected all my controls and I'm going to hit save. When you save a key on all controls, I think of the rig as a drawing, and the advantage of this is that you can start editing. So I can move this here around and play with the timing if I want to. If you have certain keys on the shoulders and other keys on the hips and so on and so forth, then you lose that ability to simply drag the whole drawing over to another frame, and you lose the ability to edit really, really simply. I use my my comma and my full stop as my flipping keys. So I'm gonna move this here over a little bit. Actually, I think I'm gonna move all of my upper body IK controls here. And I'm gonna move that up a little bit. And I'm gonna just select my hips and then rotate them a little bit because that's going on here. I'm gonna basically get the foot down on the ground again here. In my foot here, I can start to create a little bit of a foot roll. Oops. And I want to minimize the movement in the chest, I think, here. So I'm gonna make that a little less. But here I'm doing an anticipation. Here I'm overstretching the arm. I'm in IK here with the arm, so I think I'm just gonna move that up here a little bit. So as I was rotating my hand here, I think I'm gonna pull this down here a little bit and then rotate that to sit on the hips. I will have to go in and look at that closer here. Oops. I'm gonna sit it down a little bit here as well. I could also use a constraint to do this, but I think I'm just gonna wing it in this case here. I can see if it sits nicely here. It looks all right to me. So I'm moving on to my next key. Again, I start by selecting everything and I'll find my pose. And I'll say set key. So now I have two poses. These are identical because I'm in stepped my curves are in step at the moment, and I'll deal with that later. At the moment, I'm just trying to get my poses in. So I'm going to see what's going on here. The limbs are moving over, so I'm gonna move them over here. It is really quite quick and dirty what I'm doing here. I'm gonna rotate this here as well. A thing I use a lot is middle mouse drag. Some people like using tween machine, but I just use my middle mouse drag. So what I do is when I selected my foot here, I can go to the part I want to copy, and I can drag that over here with my middle mouse held down. I can let go of my middle mouse and I can say set key. Then I will basically copy what I had here over here. So you can see now these are the same. The heel lifts up here a little bit because my hips are a little high. So I can select all my upper things, and I can use my Alt and then arrow down to just nudge it down a bit. See, so now it doesn't go. Maybe I'll give it one more here. The next pose I think I will be doing is 27 here, and I can use my keys over here. I'll probably have to lower him a little bit. I don't know how much, but I will rotate the hips. I think I'm gonna look at this here from the side to see how maybe I will move that up here a little bit. So I'm gonna use my Alt key and my arrow key to do that, just to get it up a little bit. So now the leg is more straight. I will do my chest, move that over. Maybe I moved it over a little too far. And I'll have to move the foot, and I can use my middle mouse to drag that over because the foot stays there. So I can say set key. Maybe there's a little bit of foot roll I can put in here because it hasn't come down all the way. And I'm gonna take my hand here and I'm gonna move that out of the way. I have my camera here. So this is the camera I will be using. So this is really the angle it needs to work from. And it looks pretty good to me. Maybe I'll spread the fingers here. And the base, oops. And then it comes down there. I'll now do the last two keys. So I will select everything here. It was 21. Yeah, so that's my slow in. So I will set a key here. And I think I'm gonna do both keys here. That is my extreme with the hand, and then it comes over to this here. I'm gonna then move that over. The hips will start to tilt the other way. So if I'm then in a sense I have the weight going down here and I have the support countering that force that goes down here, and that is what makes this juxtaposition in the hips. So I will move my chest over. Let's go into my shot cam and see how that looks here. One thing that is good for detecting offsets of what you are doing here, and in this case you can see there's first the anticipation, the hand stays on, but there's a little, the foot is starting to move here as a little tilt in the heel that lifts from the ground. Then the foot is moving as the hips come over, and the foot stays but the hips continue. So there's a lot of offsets that we are building into this movement here now that makes it look organic. The reason why I use stepped curves is that when I hit my play button here, I don't get any of Maya's bad in-betweens. But because I have keys on everything here, I can start to shift things around to make it look a bit more palatable here. So that works quite well. What I will do now is just to go in and fix certain things. I will see how the animation works. So far I've had all my curves in stepped, but now I'm gonna switch them over to autotangent. The hips, they are kind of sort of the center of the character, also known as the root. So they are a very important object or part of the rig. So I'm gonna go in and channel by channel see what's going on, what I have in my poses, and with my graph editor here now I can go in and do some more precision work. So I can see here, this is my rotation Y, how the hips are rotating in this direction here. And I can go in now and I can see that it stays pretty much the same, but then at the end of it, in this part here at the end between the last two keys, they're rotating a lot. I think the most natural place for them to rotate is probably around here when we shift over. So I can see there's a little bit of change here, so I'm gonna just drag these here down a bit. And again, I do it fairly roughly, and I'm gonna settle into this here and see how that looks. So now they come over. Maybe I'm gonna give it a bit more here. Again, I'm doing this quite roughly, and then once I have more keys in there, I can go in and do very, very precise movements. But it's pretty much, I think here in particular, I want the movement to be around where the shift in the weight happens there. Maybe you could do it 2 tiers. So once is when we move one leg here, and then they stay a little, and then when the other leg comes forward, then they rotate a bit more. So maybe that is what I'm gonna do here. Something like that. So they stay more or less the same. As the foot shifts, they rotate a little bit in Y, and then as the other foot comes forward, they rotate again here. I'm gonna check now the rotation Z and see what goes on there. So they straighten up a bit, and then there they go down in the bottom and then come up again. So this looks pretty good to me. I think I'm just gonna leave that at this point where it is. How they go back and forth, I haven't really had much to do with. I can see there's a little bit of rotation here. And maybe I could do, as the character goes up here, it straightens up a little bit. And then as he comes over, then he's gonna slouch a little bit again here. Sometimes I can see here the head is still moving a lot. I don't know if that is the hips that are being moved like that, or it is the spine that is doing it. I think at the moment here I'm quite happy with the hips, what they do. They come forward there. So I'll select the chest. I think what probably happens the most if I go into my front view is to control how they juxtapose the hips here. So that looks pretty good. So I'm going to check, since I changed the hips quite a lot in their rotation Y, I'm going to check this here from above, how I'm going to use the, how I'm going to rotating the torso. All right, last I'm gonna do a little bit of head movement here. What I like to do is to try and see if I can get a really nice flow between the spine and the neck that does this, where you kind of break the neck here. It doesn't look like it's connected to the spine. So that you don't really want to do. So I will put them here together. A bit like that. And let's see from the side. So now I have it going down here a little bit in the anticipation. And then it comes up and goes back and stays back, and then as he settles it comes forward again a little bit. So now that we have all our poses and I've done a pass where I've tweaked the different limbs and different body parts, we are ready to start doing some breakdowns to make the movements look a lot nicer. I've done a little bit of retiming, but as I start adding in-betweens and breakdowns, this retiming is going to continue it to eventually it will fill the whole scene. Let's go and put it to auto tangent, and if I play it here, you can see it doesn't look very good. It's a bit swimmy and floaty, and that means that there's a kind of lot of work that needs to be still done here. What I will do here now is to try and find places where I feel like this is where I need the most breakdowns, and or where a breakdown is most needed, and that's where I'm gonna add it here. I think what I would like to do is to resolve how the hand comes off the hip. Since this is my extreme, I'm gonna do a slow into this. So I will select my 24 and I'll middle mouse that, drag that here to 23, so I get a pose that is closer to this key here. So I will say set key, and then I will start working with this here. I will start with a little bit of the chest here, so that there's a little bit of a slow in here to this. And also the foot, I will select my blue foot and I will put that over here. I'll middle mouse drag that from 25, so I can copy and paste that over here. So I'll say set key, and then that gets in here. But I need to find a way to get the hand off. Maybe I'll do this here, and I'll rotate it up a little bit, and maybe not have it come quite as much over here. So something like that. Since I'm moving the hand up here, I'm also gonna move the shoulder up here as well. Let's see what's clavicle up and down. So that is already a slow in, so that will work fine here. When you do these breakdowns, the whole purpose of them is really to make the splined version of it look as crisp and nice as possible. You don't really want floaty animation. The way to achieve this is typically to go very close to your poses and then work with offsets to make it the animation look organic. So now that's done, I really think I need to do some more work with this arm. At the moment, I don't really know how. There's a lot of movement here that I want to resolve. So I think I'm going to add an extra in between here, between 27 and 31, and then maybe one here as well. So I'm going to retime this here a little bit. Oops. Let me select everything, and then I can drag that out here to 35, and I can drag that to 43. So now I have 8 frames here, so I can just literally add in-betweens here to finish it up. I'm going to be in spline to do this. I will do a slow in to 35 and then a slow in to 43 here. So I want the arm to come out a little more to see how that works. So I'm gonna use my flipping keys there. And then I think I'm gonna do my middle mouse drag here as well, so I get an offset. I'll move it a bit forward to get it out of the way of the leg. Let's see how that plays. I think I want the upper arm to come over here. Yeah, so that's okay here for now. I've gone in and added a few more breakdowns and in-betweens, so now my animation is fully on 4s. And I retimed things a little bit as well. The reason for the 4s is just I have a background in traditional 2D animation where I have worked most of on the production I've worked on 2s and 1s, and I think this thing about making things on 4s is now sort of hardwired into my brain. But that is not to say that you can't work on 3s and 5s and so on, but it's just not how I work. As you can see here, it works fairly well now, and if I try and select all my controls and put things on spline, it is starting to really come together. On a production, if the director was happy with this here now, I think it would just go through. And also if I didn't have any more time, I think it is quite passable for what it is now here. If I had another day or two to work on it, yes, by all means, I could start to go in and tighten things up even more. At the moment as well, there's no facial animation. I could add some blinks and really polish it more. One thing I noticed was that maybe the foot can come down a little slower. I think I have the character come up here on the toes a little bit, and then as the foot comes down, the heel is already on the ground. So I think I would like to put a little bit of animation on that to control that. Maybe have him land on the toes a little bit first, and then we can come down on the full flat foot here. So I'm going to start by just setting a key here now, and now I can start working with it. If I go in here to I'll go into perspective view. Here I can look at my foot, and if I select it, I think I can add a little bit of foot roll here. So, and then it comes down here. So now you can see there's a little more of a step down. I can see that the other foot here could also do with a little bit of love and care. So I think I'm gonna select all my controllers again, set a key, and I'm gonna set a key here around this movement. I want to delay that 2 frames. So I can go in and I can select my foot here, and I can go in my graph editor here. So I've added these two. I think I want to delay this movement where it starts here on 17. I'm going to delay that a bit. I'm gonna select all the foot controllers here, and I'm just gonna move them forward. But pay attention here. And I'm gonna select my 15. I'm gonna middle mouse drag that to, sorry, I'm gonna do that again because I don't have all my keys. I'm gonna select from where it starts moving. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to middle mouse drag 15, so I have a copy of that over here. I'm going to select here. You can see the keys for the feet are here, but there's no keys on everything else. So I'm going to set a key on that here. So now everything is in sync again. And now I can go in and I can fix what I want in this here. I have the movement, I'm quite happy with that. But now I have it a bit later here. I moved it over, but kept everything in the same. I can do the same thing with this here, that there. I'm gonna keep the foot roll up, and there it comes down. So I think I'm gonna add the foot roll, create that a bit higher here, and then we have that, boom, where it comes down here. Maybe I'll do that a little sooner. When is the foot stopping? It's stopping there. So I want my foot roll to be done here. I can put that down. And maybe I will take this out here a little bit. So it's not too big a foot roll. So it's just a little bit. I think that works well here. So now that we have added a bit of breakdowns here, we've gone down to 2s to control the feet and the hand here. Also, I've added a little bit of extra polish to how the hand comes off the hip. I think let's finish it off with a little bit of facial animation. Blinks are great to use because they function as a punctuation of the thought process. And you can use that to think, I'm thinking about this, and then you blink and then you move on to another thought. I am going to select all my face here, and at this point I think I will just delete everything I have here on the face. I know I say that we really want to have a key on everything, but once you start dealing with facial animation, and if you go into lip sync as well, it's quite nice to break it up so all the body will have keys on things, so you can edit that, but then leave the face, and sometimes I even break the face up to eyes and mouth, so you can do something individually with them here. So in this case, I can just do a blink here any place. So we have the eyes open here. I'm gonna close them and open them again here. So I will select the eyes here, and I will go in and take the upper lid. Let's move in, just so we can see it a bit closer here. I am moving the upper lids up. Let's just put them there. And I will go in and do the same thing for the lower lids. Actually, I can take both of them here at the same time. Once I do this, I like to add a little bit of movement in the brows as well to mirror what goes on in the eyes, so we can have them going up and down. So I can just take them down a little bit, and maybe I'll arch them a little less here as well to straighten them out here. So let's see how that, so they do this here. I could also go in and add a little bit of head movement there to get a little bit more nuance in there. But let's have a look here what he does. Yeah, I think that works quite well. I can go in and select all my face here again, and now I can scoot that around and see if I want it 2 frames later. Yeah, maybe that works quite well. So let's leave it there and say that we are done with our animation. So there it is. I hope you enjoyed the video and that you have learned something from it. and I'll hope to see you again.